Hello again, lovely people, and welcome to a very special edition of Book Chat, the regular but not monthly roundup of what I have read recently. This is a special edition, otherwise known as the I Fucked Up edition.
Sophie Vlogs.
The reason for the naming is that, a while ago now, for me, I filmed a book chat about books that I had read recently, and somehow in between the filming of that and now, I have lost the footage, potentially just never took it off the camera and deleted it thinking I had. That's probably the most likely outcome. But I really did actually want to talk about the books that I read, so I'm attempting to refilm it now with none of the books, because they were mostly lent to me or borrowed. So, and I'm really hoping I can capture what I wanted to say and did say, and just somehow lost. The first thing I want to talk about this week is The Animators by Kayla Ray Whitaker. This book came onto my radar because it was in a haul that She Might Be Monica did. If you're not subscribed to Monica, I thoroughly recommend you check her out. This hand motion was because I will link to her in the thing below. Not only does she read really interesting books and have really interesting thoughts on them, she looks like a fairy princess most of the time, and I'm super jealous of her aesthetic. So, highly recommend, will improve your life no end. She had just bought the book, or just received the book, or it entered her life. And I thought it sounded really interesting, although I will say this, it was nothing like I expected it to be. I thought, from what she'd said, that it was going to be like a look at these, it focuses on these two women whose names by this point I've forgotten, but they are both animators, and it's sort of, what I thought it was going to be was looking at them trying to make it in this very male-dominated business, and that sort of thing, which it does feature, but just not in the way that I thought it would, which is not a bad thing because I ended up getting thoroughly engrossed in this book. It's pretty heavy going at times, like, I thought it was going to be much lighter than it is. It actually deals with some quite serious topics. I really liked the way that it explored and focused on the relationship between these two people and their friendship and all that sort of thing. There is, our sort of main character has something happens in her life. I won't say what, but something happens which is completely life-changing, and she then has to cope with that, deal with the fallout of that, recuperate and rebuild her life after that. And that whole process I really got so drawn into. I cried at this book at a couple of points. It was not what I expected. It was much more serious and much more adult than I expected, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I read it. So I would thoroughly recommend that. The only reason I don't actually own it is because I borrowed it from the library. The second book I wanted to talk about is Maggot Moon by Sally Gardner. I don't think I would have ordinarily picked this book up. It was lent to me. I think I would have held off picking it up because it is aimed at a much younger audience than me. I was going to go than I am. But yeah, that's true. However, that being said, I did really enjoy reading it. It's written in very simplistic language, so I think it took me a little bit of time to get into it. But in actuality, the type of language and the way in which it is written, I think, is actually quite effective in how it then deals with the subject matter. It sort of explores this world in which it sort of seems like a reality alternate to ours, whereby the Nazis won the war, and you can sort of infer and assume that Maggot is not German, but is a different country, and the Nazis invaded and now rule, so he's sort of seen as a second-class citizen in that. There's all of these, you're definitely meant to be picking up on this whole, like, World War II Nazi Germany vibe. It's peppered throughout very deliberately. I did enjoy this. I think this is a bit like Junk, whereby it took me a little bit of time to get into it because of the language and the way it was written was quite young, but they used this sort of innocent, simplistic way of writing to sort of portray and give you hints of a more complex and darker present and situation, which maybe wouldn't have actually worked so well if you'd had it written in a slightly more like wordy way. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely think it's aimed at younger readers. That being said, that's not to say that there is not stuff to be gained by reading it as a more mature reader. I liked it. That's a solid end to a book there. The next book I'm going to talk about, I won't talk about in too much detail because I feel like I've gone on this channel quite a lot. It's The Midnight Palace by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which by this point in posting time, I've done an entire video on that trilogy as a whole and my thoughts on it, and in the video I say, oh, I've talked about the individual books in book chats, except I obviously haven't because I did not have a deleted to the book chat, probably, I deleted it. So, a brief little mention, I will link to that video below so you can listen to my more in-depth thoughts on the trilogy. But, of the three, Midnight Palace was really enjoyable, and I liked the first half of it more than the last half of it, I think. It's set in Bombay, which I really liked because it was quite a big change of scene. The other two in the series were all set quite near the sea, whereas this is really set in the heart of a city. And it has this whole like engineering thread running through it to do with trains, stuff like that. That was really like cool. I feel like the ending was a bit of a letdown. I found the ending of the three books, I found the ending of this one quite anticlimactic. But as I did say in my bigger, longer review, the series definitely has its merits, and I think it's definitely a good series for YA readers. However, I would take them all as individual standalone books rather than a series. Next up is the only book that I actually have with me to show you. And it's not really a book, but I wanted to talk about it. And that's Kitchen by Nigella Lawson. I like cooking, but more specifically, I really like reading cookery books. You know, like, chefs, like, they give you, like, they split them into chapters, they give you little narratives, they tell you a bit of background about the dish. I'm just into it. I like reading it. Daniel J. Layton, who is a highly entertaining YouTuber that you probably are aware of, also cooks a bit, also is vegetarian, like me. And somewhere, somehow, may it be Tumblr, may it be a video, can't remember, he mentioned that Kitchen by Nigella Lawson is his favourite cookery book, and I thought, hey, his food looks tasty, I will just pick it up for literally a penny on Amazon. That was also maybe a factor in my buying. Suffice to say, I picked it up. I enjoyed it. I don't think I've actually cooked anything from it yet. I'm sorry. But I'm going to. Like, as you can see, I'm planning to cook a lot of things from this. I don't know if you can see. I don't know where this new arrangement cuts off. However, just Nigella. I know some people don't like Nigella. Personally, I'd love to just hang out with Nigella, have a bottle of rosé, we would cook, we would chat, we would bond. I think it would be great. The final book I would like to talk about is The Eye of Zoltar by Jasper Fforde. Almost forgot for a second there. This is the third book in, I've been calling it the Last Dragonslayer trilogy. I don't think it's called that. I don't actually remember what the proper name of the trilogy is, but you can easily find it. I said for the first two books of this series that I liked them, but I didn't love them. They weren't my favourite Jasper Ffords. Took me a little while to get into, blah, 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 blah. Everything changed with this last book. I loved this book. Everything that I had been feeling was ever so slightly lacking in the first two, I feel like was just in this book. It had a slightly different, like, oomph to it, because rather than being set sort of based around this agency that it's been set around in the other two, our main character is sort of going forward, going out into the world a bit more, and having quite like a wild, rollicking adventure type thing. I just absolutely loved this one. I need the next one, and I didn't feel that after the first two. After the first two, I was like, I'll read the next one, but I didn't feel like I needed them, whereas this time, I need them, I want to read them, and I just love, to me, it felt there was much more of like an impending threat. Why do I always want my characters to have an impending threat? I don't know. I just felt like this increased like stakes, and the way in, we were in an entirely new setting, there were increased stakes, there were some new characters introduced who I really liked, who were old characters who got a little bit more time, which I really liked. And I loved it. I thought it was excellent. And I just wanted, this is the whole reason why I wanted to refilm this video mostly. I just really wanted to have it put in video record that the series that I've been umming and ahhing about is great, guys, and it's worth it for the third book. And now I think there is a fourth book, and I want the fourth book. Okay, that brings my rambles to an end. I hope you've enjoyed this I Fucked Up edition of Book Chat. Hopefully there won't be an I Fucked Up version 2, because that will mean that I've fucked up again. Aiming not to do that. I hope everything is good with you. I hope you haven't been accidentally deleting footage. I hope that you've just been getting on with it and being a professional, which is not me. And I hope you have a super lovely week, and I will see you next week for something completely different or very similar. We shall see.